That certainly is the case, and we're standing at an intersection where it really represents all the problems in Laplace right now. This is the evacuation center where people are still coming in, those 3,000 people you talked about. These are some of the buses that are being used to take them to other places. The main highway just reopened a while ago. People can get out of town now. If we look across the street, that is one of scores of gas stations that have no power. They can't pump gas. And the intersection here, traffic lights are out all throughout Laplace. So the problems here are indeed far from over. But the focus of today, again, as it has been for the last 36 hours, has been rescuing people. That is what has continued today. Up to 3,200 people now have been pulled out of their flooded homes. Again, water up to 8 feet deep in some places. And one of the most heartbreaking interviews we had today was with one of those evacuees. Her name is Sandy Jones, and she had 4 feet of water in her house, but she says she will never, ever do this again.
No, I'm scared.
Is anybody with you?
My husband.
Is he okay?
But we had to leave my dogs and my cat.
You had to leave them?
They told us we couldn't bring them with us.
Where are y'all going to go now?
We're going to try to get a rent-a-car wherever we stop at and go to Georgia. I'm not coming back. I can't take no more hurricanes. I can't.
She's been to far too many hurricanes here in Laplace. Meanwhile, the people that are being evacuated, they continue to be evacuated on these large buses. They're being taken to places like Shreveport, where they can be in shelters and eventually be reunited with their families. They have been rescuing animals as well. They told us they've taken at least 2 truckloads of dogs and cats north as well to be reunited with their families. Meanwhile, coming back here live, some of the good images here on Highway 61. You see National Guard vehicles, and right behind those National Guard vehicles are some of the power trucks finally arriving here in Laplace. They had to wait for the wind to die down. Now they can get to work and try to put this town back together, which they tell us could take at least a week. Live in Laplace, I'm Kevin Reece, KHOU 11 News.
We're waiting for a news conference on the tornado to begin shortly, and we'll join it when it happens. But first, Kevin Reece is on the ground.
Kevin, the pictures are just terrifying out there. What does it look like there right now?
Well, in the last 30 seconds, it looks like this. We now have rain and more hail falling here in Moore, Oklahoma. We'll get out of the way in a minute, but at the moment I'm standing in a debris field a quarter-mile away from the nearest demolished home. We are here because police moved us back so that they could continue their searching operations. They believe there may be more victims out there. But before all of this mess started again, we did reach several of these neighborhoods where we found survivors who were lucky for just one thing: lucky that they're alive at all. We toured the hardest hit areas this morning, the blocks after blocks of homes that looked like they were flattened by bulldozers or bombs, the remnants of the Plaza Towers Elementary School, the ravaged Moore Medical Center, now a crushed car holding yard. But by daylight, there was so much more. This is the Stone Meadows subdivision, and it's hard to describe, but by comparison, this is one of the least damaged neighborhoods on the edge of the tornado's path. Even here you can find survivors like Stacy and Lisa McDaniel. Their roof is gone, the house a total loss, but they survived, huddled with their dog in this bedroom closet.
About the only room left standing.
Grace of God, we was in the closet. It just, I don't know.
Even here at the so-called edge of the tornado, houses are piles of sticks and bricks. Vehicles, if still upright, are impaled by debris. And in all this rubble, all this pain, you can also find survivors' guilt.
I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I'm devastated.
Even when Katrina Eastwood's roof is sitting on the house next door.
Son rode the storm out in our house, and I know their parents went to bed last night without their kids, and it's heartbreaking.
The tears are flowing readily in Moore, Oklahoma, but even a woman lingering inside her house that could collapse on her at any moment feels fortunate.
We survived it.
That is the only victory anyone can claim in Moore, Oklahoma today. And back here in Moore, Oklahoma, this latest rain squall is getting a little bit lighter at the moment, but more of this to come. And this is what rescuers are dealing with right now as they continue to go home to home looking for additional victims. They do believe they will find more. They have so many houses to search. And about this debris field here, we found everything, including items like this. If we can zoom in, you can see it real close. a picture of a toddler. Bits and pieces of stuff like this everywhere throughout Moore, Oklahoma today. This is what folks are finding miles and miles away. Back to you guys.
Kevin, the size of this just boggles the mind, and we're hearing that this tornado may have been as big as 2 miles wide. What are they saying on the ground about that?
They're not saying a lot about that to us here, but we can tell you we have driven the entire perimeter of it on this side of I-35. We are right now on the west side of I-35. Those of you who might be familiar with it, the vast majority of the damage that you saw in our story stretches from west to east this direction, headed directly across I-35, easily 2 miles wide at this point. That's the edge right over there on the southern side. We went on the other side as well. Easily stretches 2 miles at its worst. And in the middle at Plaza Towers Elementary School, all of the homes around that, the ones easily damaged the worst. That is where they're continuing to search, looking to see if there will indeed be more victims and if the fatality count here is going to go up.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much. Be careful out there.
Deputies tell us that robbers followed 2 young men all the way to this neighborhood from Willowbrook Mall. That's about 9 miles away. The victim's car crashed in between these 2 houses and severed the gas line on the side of the house after one of the young men had been shot in the head. And the police tell us that all of this was over a pair of shoes. The car crashed into the side of a house, its tires still spinning, digging into the lawn. The crash ruptured a natural gas meter and broke a sister's heart. She said it was her brother, the driver, still inside, slumped over with a gunshot wound to the head. Deputies say this all started miles away at Willowbrook Mall, where 2 young men bought the new Air Jordan sneakers. They were attacked by 2 gunmen as they pulled into their driveway at home. So many shots fired that bullet casings litter the street. And evidence marker number 20 sits next to the shopping bag of shoes. The car crashed into the side of Joe Camarillo's house with his wife in the kitchen just on the other side of the wall.
It's shaking me up because of my neighbor's son. I think of him as my own son, you know. I'm sorry, but, you know, these things should happen. But unfortunately, you know, that's what's going on in this world now.
His neighbor was the passenger in that car. He escaped unharmed, telling police the gunman raced away in a green-colored car, leaving the bag of shoes behind.
It's completely idiotic. I don't understand the rationale of it. I mean, just as this kid bought his tennis shoes, that you can do the same thing instead of taking a life or attempting to take a life behind a pair of tennis shoes. Is just senseless, nonsense violence.
Now deputies are on the hunt for 2 gunmen willing to fire a barrage of bullets, terrify a neighborhood, and attempt to take a man's life, all for the sake of a few pair of shoes.
That's very unfortunate. Like I said, it shouldn't happen. I mean, you know, what's this world coming to? You know, it doesn't make sense.
Certainly does not, and we are still waiting for official confirmation on that young man's condition, but at last check, he was in critical condition with severe life-threatening injuries. If anyone has any information on this crime and knows who those gunmen might be, they're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Live in Northwest Houston, I'm Kevin Reece, KHOU 11.
A wanted man is dead tonight. Police say he led them on a high-speed chase in Spring today.
He would fall off his motorcycle on Spring Stubner near the North Freeway, and his runaway bike would then cause another crash. KHOU 11 reporter Kevin Reece is live on the scene with more. Kevin?
Yes, this is Spring Stubner behind me, a very busy 2-lane road that was closed for about 4 hours today, and a road where a wanted felon made his last run from police and nearly took several other people with him. The first pictures from Air 11 made this look like a horrible accident. A motorcycle in a ditch on one side of the road, the dead motorcyclist in a ditch on the other side, and an upside-down Lexus SUV with a driver trapped inside. But as firefighters removed the driver conscious and stable from the SUV, we found out this wasn't just a bad day of driving on Spring Stubner. Deputies say the motorcyclist was this man, Derek Shelton, 39 years old, with a lengthy arrest and prison record. And deputies and federal marshals were trying to arrest him again. He fled east on the motorcycle and tried to pass a gray pickup truck.
In his attempts to pass the Dodge pickup truck, he struck the left side view mirror with his body and possibly the helmet.
The impact threw him dead into a ditch on the north side of Spring Stubner, but his motorcycle kept going another 200 feet without him, rear-ending the Lexus SUV.
But he struck up with such impact that it sent the Lexus into a yaw and off the road.
The Lexus rolled and landed upside down, but deputies tell us the driver was okay. Complaining of back pains, was taken to a Woodlands hospital. Deputies and federal marshals are now trying to wrap up a case that was supposed to send a wanted felon back to jail. Instead, a suspect charged before with trying to evade arrest made that run for the very last time. Derek Shelton does have a lengthy criminal record, including drug possession and weapons violations. Police were trying to arrest him for an assault on his girlfriend. This was their second attempt to bring him in. Live in Spring, I'm Kevin Reece, KHOU 11 News.